Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm back talking about another lens that I've had for a few weeks. A little bit late to the game on this. Apologies. Sony has been overwhelming us with products as of late, which is a good thing, but means other reviews have gotten pushed back. But let's talk about this all-new Tamron 17-70 f2.8 Di3 AVC RXD lens for the Sony E-mount APS-C lens, but also a very good full-frame lens. Let's talk about this bad boy. All right, before we get into things, I do want to thank Tamron Singapore for providing the lens and Sony Singapore for providing the A7R4 for me to review on. Having said that, these are my thoughts and my thoughts only. All right, let's talk about the design of this lens first and foremost. Let's keep it simple. It looks exactly like every other Sony E-mount Tamron lens out there on the marketplace. It's that very nondescript design. It's got a decent build quality. It is weather resistant, so if you want to take it into some harsh terrain, you can do so. But it's nondescript. It doesn't feel luxurious, nor does it feel inexpensive. It's right in between. This is a 1770 APS-C lens at f2.8. So for you full frame users out there, which is good because if I have it on the A7R4, it automatically converts to about a 25-105 focal range on that, which is a very good focal range. But one thing different on this Tamron lens, which I'll talk about, because obviously the design is the same. We've already covered that. Let's talk about what's inside of it. One of the things about the internals on this is that you do now get vibration correction on this, or VC, or whatever they call it. Is it vibration correction? What do they call this? I don't even know. Some call it OIS, some call it IS, some call it VC. You know what I'm talking about. It's going to give you some of that stabilization in this lens, which is a good thing. But I'm kind of curious why Tamron decided to put it in this lens and not other lenses in their lineup, which could have benefited from that. Neither here nor there. I'm not an engineer, but it is what it is, and it's a welcomed addition. Also, you've got 3 spherical elements in this, 2 low dispersion elements. You've got this very fast linear motor system inside of this, so you're going to get some fast autofocusing with this. The filter diameter on the front of it is 67 millimeters, and the weight is around 525 grams. I've tried this on the A6400, and it does feel a little large for an APS-C camera in Sony's lineup. It does feel more at home, let's say, on the A7R4, A7 III, or whatever full-frame Sony alpha lens camera you have on it because of the design and the size of it. Because it is an f2.8, it is going to have some girth to this. Now, it's an f2.8 constant, which is a nice addition. So you can see that Tamron has really put a lot of engineering into this lens, and they made it as such that you're going to get very good performance, not only photography, but also videography. You're also going to get really good close focusing distance on this, about 7.5 inches thereabouts, and we'll put the meters right here. But you can really get up close, and this is something that we've seen in other Tamron lenses out on the market, that they really sort of, they've done this where other lens manufacturers might have thought about this as a secondary aspect. Tamron's giving you the pseudo macro capabilities on a lot of their E-mount lenses, and you're seeing it here in the 1770 as well. But in terms of usability, it's a very fast lens. I've had no issues with autofocusing whatsoever in terms of eye tracking or tracking in general. It's a very sharp lens. Now, we'll be doing a Lightroom portion in just a bit. I'll bring you in there and I'll show you some sample images, and we will record the last portion of this review with this lens so you can see it in terms of focus breathing, in terms of how it renders and everything else. But I'm really impressed with this lens. Based on the size, I think this is more of a full-frame lens. So I would consider this more of a 25-105. You know what I mean? And then for you APS-C users out there, if you do need a 1770, which is great for video, but you will see this is quite a long lens for a 1770 out there. So you will find that if you want to do some vlogging, you're going to feel some weight on this because it's quite a hefty lens, I have to say. 525 grams. It's not too light, but you will feel it if you're going to be doing any of this for quite some time. So anyway, let's go into Lightroom now, and let's take a look at images from this lens, and then we'll go back and show you some video after that. All right, guys, we're now in Lightroom taking a look at images from the Tamron 17-70 f2.8 VC lens. And I'm just going to show you some sample images that I've taken over a couple weeks here. Not a lot going on here. The reality of it is that this lens performs just like the other Sony E-mounts. The only difference, of course, it's an APS-C lens with VC in it. But besides that, still got a great sharpness, great color out of the lens. No issues at all in terms of performance. It does a very, very good job. So let's go look at some images first off. I like motorcycles, as a lot of you know here on this channel. This is a BMW R9T that was parked by this Chinese temple, and I thought it was really cool. And so I just captured a couple shots of that. And zooming in on it, again, very sharp right here in the BMW area. An ISO 250 with this, and so it's 1/50th of a second. So this is a really good shot. I'm happy with in terms of the image quality coming out of it. Now this was edited. Here's before edit, after edit, before edit, after edit. Again, edits are personal choice. I wanted to enhance the colors here to sort of frame the bike a little bit more, but I could have turned this to black and white, but we're doing a, I wanted to show you in terms of how the lens performs in terms of color, so hence it's in color. But if you want to see something in black and white, here we go. This is the handlebar of the motorcycle wrapped in leather, and I love the texture. I love the detail that this lens can capture. And the nice thing with these Tamron lenses, with all their E-mount lenses, is you can get really close to a subject, almost like a pseudo macro lens. And I like that versatility that Tamron provides their users with their lenses. Now again, this is before edit and after edit, before edit and after edit. I'm happy with the image overall. Now, if you just want to see this motorcycle in its full glory right here, well, here's the image for you. And yeah, it's sharp. I'm just giving it a second to render. This, of course, is the Sony A7R4 that I was using this lens on. So sometimes it does take a minute in Lightroom. I'm using Lightroom CC, mind you. And yeah, I mean, the bike is sharp. It looks great. This has been edited, of course, before edit and after edit, before edit and after edit. Let's move on to, let's go inside the Chinese temple a little bit. And I want to show you this carving here of this statue near the entrance. And what I wanted to show you here is, of course, the depth of field, but also the bokeh, because a lot of people want to really look at the bokeh. Is it onion shape? Is it circular shape? Is it oval shape? Is there fringing to it? Well, here you have it, shooting with lights in the background here, and it's relatively well controlled. It's more ovalish to circle. Don't see really any fringing here. There's a little bit of noise in this image, of course, but that's going to happen in lower light situations. The A7R4 is not the best for low light photography. Again, I was in daylight, but depending on the shadows and how it all comes into play, you are going to see some noise creeping in. The 2.8 do need to stop down if you want to shoot anything closer, because you're going to have a really thin, shallow depth of field. Case in point here, this area is really in focus, but the rest of it over here should be in better focus. I should have stopped down to f4, f5. Then I could have got all this more in focus, but it is what it is. It's just a sample image. Here's something to show you in terms of the sharpness of this lens. This was at the base of a statue at the Chinese temple. Again, nothing fantastic with this image. Not trying to create art. I'm just kind of giving you a sample of how it performs, and it's very, very sharp. Again, no issues at all with that. And let's move on to architecture, because people will maybe want to shoot buildings or street signs or whatever it may be. This is Riverside Point in Singapore, and I wanted to capture the lines in terms of handles distortion or any sort of pin cushioning with this, okay? And I'm not seeing any issues at all with this in terms of this lens. I did no correction in Lightroom. It is what it is. But the sign Riverside Point is very, very sharp with this. Now, I will let you know on an A7R4, if you're going to shoot in RAW, your image is going to be around 30 megabytes thereabouts. So you are going to lose some resolution going from full frame to APS-C. But for social media and a majority of people out there, this is no issue. This is more than adequate, and you can definitely use this image. You could even print this, and it will be more than enough resolution. All right, let's look at a couple other images here before we move on to the video test portion of this review. Here's a dog at sunset. I sort of accentuated the sunset a little bit more. This is before edit and after edit, before edit. But if you want to zoom in on this, good color rendition. Takes it a moment just to render itself here. But yeah, overall happy with the image. Could be slightly a little bit sharper. Might have just missed it by a hair, but you know what? No complaints. If you need to use some sort of sharpening software, go for it. Sometimes it happens when you least expect it, because we're shooting on the move when you do street photography, and not everything is going to be pin sharp. Here's a father and his daughter that were feeding some fish or some birds in the water. I'm not too sure. I didn't see them, but I thought it was a really cute moment with the daughter and her father. So I wanted to capture this. This is before edit and after edit, before edit. Now, I probably put a little bit too much in terms of contrast, in terms of clarity right here. I can tone that down. But let's just zoom in on this image just a bit, just to see the color and the sharpness out of this. Be frank with you, I don't like my edit, so I'm going to keep it right here for that. So this happens. Edit's always an ongoing thing, but as we see the detail in her hair and her face and her fingers right here and his fingers, I mean, there's a lot of great detail happening here. This is a fantastic image. So scratch my edit. I actually like out of camera a little bit more. How about that? Here's the inside of a Porsche. I just thought this was quite cool. Window reflections and capturing the interior of it. Let me just show you the before edit, after edit, before edit, and after edit. So not much was done with this because obviously the colors in the car were quite vibrant with this custom interior, and I thought this was quite a cool image. So there you have it. But overall, I got to say that this lens performs really well. No issues at all. Color is great out of it. Sharpness is there. Decent separation. Close focusing is there. It's a really solid performing lens. So now let's go to the video test portion of this review. All right, so we're just getting out of Lightroom. As you can tell, the images out of this lens are very, very sharp. Really good color rendition on it. Now you're probably noticing this massive vignette. We're actually using the FX3 currently right now to shoot this review, and we need to set it to APS-C mode to benefit from this lens. Otherwise, we get a really cool effect around me that just makes you focus right in on me because of this massive vignette. But anyway, Kai Hong is going to flip to APS-C mode, and then we will continue with my final thoughts. Okay, so now we are in APS-C mode. Now, of course, with the FX3 and the A7S III, since it's only a 12 megapixel sensor, we cannot shoot in 4K in this mode. So, case in point, if you want to use this lens, you're going to have to go to 1080p, which we're shooting in right now. But nonetheless, the final conclusion continues. Overall, I think I like this lens a lot. I think Tamron has done a tremendous job with their E-mount lenses. They're all really good, solid performers. The 1770 is a nice focal range for a lot of people out there. If you do own a A6000 series camera, you're going to enjoy this. You do get some of the benefits that us full-frame users don't get with Tamron lenses, as in the VC control for that image stabilization inside the lens. But if you are going to move this to a full-frame camera, I would say that, case in point, for video, you got to be 1080p if you're using an A7S III or FX3. But if you're going to be using, let's say, on an A7R4, which I'm using it on, which I was testing it on, you know, you're not going to get that full 61 megapixels. You're going to drop it down to for about 40 some megapixels. So there is going to be a little bit of reduction in that. So if you're going to be using it on an A7 III for that matter, do take in mind that you're going to drop a lot in resolution. So if that's something you're okay with, great. But if you do have an A7R4 or A7R3 or A1 or Alpha 1, then I think you guys can benefit from this. Even if you're losing a little bit of resolution, you still have enough for, print or for, social media, whatever, wherever you want to showcase your work at. So, but otherwise, I like this lens. There will be a little bit of focus breathing with video. I mean, if you want to do some focus breathing test, Kai Hong, you want to twist it for focusing? See how minimal it is. Look at that. Actually, it's pretty good. This is not very, very good on this. So for you focus breathing critics out there that are worried about this Tamron lens, do not be. Tamron did think about video for this aspect of this lens, and so you are covered on that. But yeah, for the price point and for its optical quality, it's very hard to beat this lens in the focal range lineup that it's competing in. So those are my thoughts on the 1770 from Tamron. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is there any other lens I should be looking at in this range? I know some of you will be comparing it to the Sony out there, but I think this beats the Sony, especially for the aperture and also for the price point. But that's just me. Anyway, those are my thoughts. With that, stay safe. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like this video. Helps out the channel a lot. And I'll chat to you soon. Take care.